Imagine, one moment you're here and the next you're gone, vanished without a trace. This isn't the plot of a science fiction novel, it's the chilling reality for some people who've mystifyingly disappeared from the face of the earth. Our journey begins in the 16th century with the lost colony of Roanoke. In 1587, English settlers, including women and children, established a colony on Roanoke Island, off the coast of present-day North Carolina. However, by 1590, every single colonist had disappeared. The only clue left behind was the word Croatoan carved into a wooden post. Despite ongoing investigations and theories, the fate of the Roanoke colonists remains one of history's most haunting mysteries. Fast forward to the 19th century, the year 1845. Sir John Franklin led an expedition to chart the Northwest Passage in the Canadian Arctic. Two ships, the HMS Erebus and HMS Terror, with 129 men aboard, disappeared. Despite numerous search efforts, no trace of the men or their ships was found for over 160 years. The ships' wrecks were finally discovered in 2014 and 2016, but what happened to the men remains unknown. In the early 20th century, we find the puzzling case of the Eileen Moore lighthouse keepers. In December 1900, 3 lighthouse keepers vanished from their remote post off the Scottish coast. Their untouched meals and one set of outdoor clothing remained. The logbook's final entries noted severe storms, but no storms had been reported in the area. The fate of these men remains a mystery. Moving on to the mid-20th century, we encounter the perplexing disappearance of Judge Joseph Force Crater. Known as the missingest man in New York, Crater vanished in 1930 after a night out at a New York City restaurant. Despite extensive investigations and media frenzy, no trace of Judge Crater was ever found. His case was officially closed in 1979, but the mystery of his disappearance persists. Next, we have the baffling case of Paula Jean Weldon from 1946. A sophomore at Bennington College, Vermont, Weldon disappeared while on a walk on the Long Trail. Despite one of the largest search efforts in Vermont's history, no trace of Weldon was ever found. Her disappearance sparked the creation of the Vermont State Police. Our journey takes us next to the 1960s and the enigmatic case of Michael Rockefeller. The 23-year-old son of the then New York governor Nelson Rockefeller, Michael disappeared during an expedition in the Asmat region of southwestern New Guinea. Despite extensive search efforts, Michael was never found. His disappearance remains one of the most famous unsolved mysteries. In the 80s, we come across the intriguing case of Susie Lamplugh. A British estate agent, Lamplugh disappeared in 1986 after leaving her office to meet a client. Despite an intensive police investigation and huge media interest, no trace of Lamplugh was ever found. Lastly, we step into the 21st century with the case of Brian Schaffer. A medical student at Ohio State University, Schaffer disappeared in 2006 after a night out in Columbus, Ohio. Surveillance footage showed him entering a bar, but never leaving. Despite substantial media coverage and ongoing investigations, Schaffer's whereabouts remain unknown. From the lost colony of Roanoke to the disappearance of Brian Schaffer, these cases serve as a chilling reminder of the mysteries that surround us. Each of these stories leaves us with more questions than answers. While we may never know what happened to these individuals, their stories continue to captivate us, reminding us that sometimes truth is stranger than fiction.